Here's a quiet truth most men don't want to admit. Attraction is happening around them far more often than they realize. And just as often, it's being imagined where it doesn't exist. A woman leans in, creates space, finds reasons to stay close. He misses it. Walks away. Tells himself she was just being nice. Another woman smiles, laughs politely, keeps the peace. A different man reads destiny into it and crashes headfirst into embarrassment. Both men are lost for the same reason. They were never taught the language. Attraction isn't mysterious. It isn't magic. And it certainly isn't random. It's behavioral. It's patterned. And it's rooted in biology that predates modern dating by thousands of years. The problem isn't that women send unclear signals. The problem is that most men were handed silence instead of education. So they guess. They project. They overthink or underact. Today, that confusion ends. Not with theories. Not with wishful thinking. But with observable shifts that happen when attraction enters the body before it ever reaches the mouth. The first signal appears fast. Often within seconds. Sometimes before a single word lands. It's what psychologists call a self-presentation shift. When a woman feels attraction, her awareness of herself changes. Not consciously. Not strategically. Her nervous system notices you before her logic does. Her body asks a simple question. How am I being seen right now? And then it responds. She touches her hair. Not once. Not randomly. But more than she did 5 minutes ago. More than she does around other people. This isn't coincidence. Hair touching is one of the most documented attraction behaviors in human research. It draws attention to her face. It exposes the neck. It soothes internal tension. Attraction activates vulnerability. And vulnerability seeks regulation. She adjusts her clothes. Smooths fabric. Straightens seams that didn't bother her before you arrived. She isn't trying to impress you consciously. Her body is simply aligning itself toward possibility. Posture changes next. She sits taller. Her chest opens. Her shoulders square toward you instead of the room. Orientation matters. The body points toward what it wants. Away from what it doesn't. And here's the detail most men miss. The signal isn't the behavior. It's the contrast. She may always touch her hair. But does she touch it more with you? She may always adjust her clothes. But does she become more precise when you're present? Attraction reveals itself through deviation from baseline. Not isolated acts. Watch mirrors. Windows. Reflections. If she passes one and checks herself while you're nearby, that's not vanity. That's subconscious calibration. Grooming behaviors spike in the presence of someone whose opinion suddenly matters. Sometimes the shift extends further. Effort appears where it didn't before. She dresses differently on days she expects to see you. Not louder. Not necessarily sexier. Just more intentional. That's not chance. That's targeting. Now here's where many men get confused. Attraction doesn't wear one face. Some women become nervous when desire shows up. Others become magnetic. Nervous attraction looks like movement. Fidgeting. Hands finding jewelry, sleeves, skin. Speech speeding up, stumbling slightly, laughter arriving a second too early. Eye contact breaks, then returns. Again and again. This happens because attraction raises stakes. And stakes activate anxiety. She cares how this goes. That caring leaks out through her body. Confident attraction is quieter, but heavier. Eye contact holds longer. Teasing enters the conversation. Her body opens instead of tightens. She takes up space. She doesn't retreat. She enjoys the tension instead of escaping it. Both are real. Both are valid. The mistake is assuming attraction must look one way. Some women fluctuate between the two. Forward, then shy. Bold, then distant. This isn't manipulation. It's internal negotiation. Her desire is ahead of her certainty. And then there are moments when the truth isn't in her behavior at all. It's in the room. Women talk. And when a woman is interested, her friends know before you do. Watch what happens when you enter a space. Do eyes flick toward you, then toward her? Do whispers pause when you walk past? Do people suddenly find reasons to disappear? Friends don't create space accidentally. They create it deliberately. Sometimes they test you. Questions that feel casual but aren't. Light challenges meant to see how you respond under pressure. If you pass, the room softens. If you fail, the door closes quietly. Gatekeeping isn't hostility. It's protection. Here's the deeper truth beneath all of this. Attraction isn't loud. It's consistent. It isn't a moment. It's a direction. Men who miss signals are usually staring at single behaviors instead of watching patterns. Men who imagine signals are doing the opposite. They inflate moments instead of collecting data. Real attraction leaves fingerprints everywhere if you know how to look. And we're just getting started. Because the next layer goes deeper than appearance. It moves into curiosity, attention, and psychological alignment. That's where things become impossible to fake. Attraction doesn't stop at the surface. Once the body shifts, the mind follows. This is where men either wake up or stay blind. Because when a woman is genuinely interested, she doesn't just look at you differently. She listens differently. Most conversations are transactional. Noise exchanged to pass time. Questions asked out of politeness, not curiosity. Attraction disrupts that pattern. A woman who's merely being friendly asks what you do. A woman who's interested asks why you do it. How you ended up there. What you want next. She isn't collecting facts. She's mapping you. Curiosity is one of the most expensive psychological investments a human can make. We don't spend it on people we don't care about. When attraction is present, her questions go beyond necessity. They dig past the obvious. Family. Childhood. What shaped you? What frustrates you? What excites you when no one's watching? And here's the part most men underestimate. She remembers. Details you forgot you shared come back weeks later. A story you told once becomes a reference point. A preference you mentioned casually shows up again in her behavior. Memory is selective. The brain doesn't store neutral data long-term. It archives what carries emotional weight. If she remembers you, it's because you landed somewhere meaningful. This attention doesn't stay verbal. It leaks into the body. Humans unconsciously synchronize with people they feel connected to. Psychologists call it mirroring. When she's attracted, her nervous system starts matching yours. You lean forward. She follows. You slow your speech. Her pace adjusts. You take a sip. Moments later, so does she. This isn't mimicry. It's alignment. Her brain is tuning itself to your frequency. Mirroring goes deeper than posture. It shows up in language. Phrases you use suddenly appear in her vocabulary. Your humor rhythm becomes hers. Even emotional states synchronize. You share something personal. She meets it with vulnerability instead of deflection. You get excited. Her energy rises with you. This is one of the strongest indicators of attraction because it's almost impossible to fake consistently. It happens beneath awareness. You can test it. Make a subtle change. Shift position. Touch your face. Lower your voice slightly. If she follows within seconds, you're not imagining the connection. Her body is responding before her mind catches up. Now let's talk about something brutally honest. When someone wants you, they don't let the moment die. A woman who's interested invests in momentum. She doesn't give one-word answers that collapse conversation. She builds, expands. reopens doors you thought were closing. When a topic runs out, she introduces another. When silence appears, she fills it with intention, not discomfort. She shares without being prompted. Not because she's nervous, but because she wants you to know her. That's the key distinction. Interest creates reciprocity. Watch what happens when there's a natural exit point. The event winds down. Others leave. Does she stay? Does she find reasons to linger? Suggest coffee. A walk. One more thing. Those reopeners matter. They're active choices against separation. Disinterest moves toward endings. Attraction resists them. This applies digitally too. Texts that invite response. Questions that extend threads. Initiation that isn't one-sided. Everyone is busy. People make time for what matters. Now let's address compliments, because most men misread these badly. Generic compliments mean almost nothing. Nice shirt. You're funny. These are social grease. They keep interactions smooth. Attraction-based compliments are specific. She references something you said, not just how you look. Something she noticed, not something obvious. Observation requires attention. Attention signals value. There's another form of compliment that confuses men even more. Teasing. When a woman playfully challenges you, pokes at a habit, gives you a hard time with a smile, she's engaging. She's investing energy. Indifference doesn't tease. It ignores. Teasing creates tension without threat. It's a way of saying, I'm comfortable here. And then there's touch. The most misinterpreted signal of all. Attraction touch is subtle, ambiguous, deniable. A hand on your arm to emphasize a point. A brush passing by. A playful shove. Knees touching and not retreating. These touches test boundaries. They escalate intimacy without forcing clarity. Biology drives this. Touch releases oxytocin. Bonding chemistry. Her body knows that contact deepens connection even if she never says it out loud. What matters is progression. Is touch increasing over time? Is she closer at the end than at the beginning? Escalation tells a story. And here's the principle that ties everything together. Single behaviors lie. Patterns don't. One laugh means nothing. Repeated laughter when you speak does. One question could be politeness. Sustained curiosity is investment. One touch might be accidental. A pattern of contact is intentional. Men fail when they read moments instead of movements. Attraction clusters. It stacks signals. When multiple behaviors appear together, consistently, over time, the picture becomes clear. And yet, there's one more layer that overrides all of this. Something more honest than words, touch, or memory. Eye contact and proximity. That's where we go next. There's a reason eyes have been called the doorway to intimacy for as long as humans have been telling stories. Before touch, before confession, before words carry weight, there is gaze. Eye contact isn't just visual. It's neurological. When two people hold eye contact, their nervous systems begin to synchronize. Heart rate shifts. Attention narrows. Time feels different. This is why prolonged eye contact can create attraction even when none existed before. And why attraction reveals itself so clearly through the eyes. When a woman is interested, her eye contact patterns change. Not necessarily staring. That would break social rules. Instead, it's repetition. She looks at you, looks away, then looks back. Again, and again. That return matters. It says, you're where my attention wants to live. There's a specific sequence psychologists have identified. Eye contact. A brief hold. Eyes drop or turn away. Then return. It balances desire with deniability. She isn't staring. She isn't exposed. But she is choosing you repeatedly. Watch for pupils, too. They dilate when we look at things we find attractive. It's involuntary, uncontrollable. You can't fake biology. The quality of eye contact matters more than duration. Is she present when she looks at you? Or is her gaze flat, waiting for escape? Engaged eye contact feels warm. It feels anchored. You can sense when someone is actually with you. And then there's distance. Humans move closer to what they want and away from what they don't. This instinct overrides social conditioning more often than people realize. Attraction reduces space. In group settings, she positions herself near you. If the group shifts, she shifts too. If there's a seat next to you, she takes it. If standing, her body angles toward you. Feet matter more than shoulders. They point toward intention. Feet aimed at you signal engagement. Feet pointed toward exits signal disengagement. Watch what happens when you move. If you step closer, does she hold her ground or retreat? If you reposition, does she adjust to maintain proximity? These micro-adjustments reveal preference without words. There's also something called accidental proximity. Coincidences that happen too often. She ends up where you are. At the bar. By the display. Near the door at the same time. These aren't accidents. They're excuses. Her mind finds reasons to justify what her body already decided. Now let's talk about context, because without it, everything becomes misleading. Some women are naturally expressive, warm, touchy, curious with everyone. With them, the signal isn't behavior. It's difference. Is she warmer with you than others? Does she linger longer? Does her energy sharpen when you arrive? Other women are reserved. They don't touch. They don't open easily. They don't give obvious signs even when interested. With these women, small shifts carry massive meaning. A brief touch from someone who never touches. A personal question from someone who avoids them. Baseline matters. Without baseline, you're guessing. Observe how she treats friends, strangers, men she's clearly indifferent to. Attraction reveals itself in contrast. This is why single interactions are unreliable. You need comparison, patterns over time. And this leads to the most important discipline a man can develop. Patience. Men who rush interpretation sabotage themselves. They see one signal and act as if certainty has arrived. Then they're confused when reality doesn't follow. Attraction doesn't demand urgency. It rewards observation. When you slow down, the truth becomes obvious. Now here's the mistake men rarely notice they're making. They obsess over detection instead of direction. Reading signals isn't the goal. Responding appropriately is. If interest is present, you lean in, not with desperation, but with calm clarity. If it isn't, you step back without resentment. This is what confidence actually looks like. Not forcing outcomes. Not chasing validation. But recognizing reality and aligning with it. And there's a deeper truth beneath all of this. Attraction isn't something you hunt. It's something you invite. Men who constantly analyze signals often do so because they don't generate enough of them. When attraction is frequent, you stop doubting it. Your intuition sharpens through repetition. Which brings us to the final layer. Becoming the man who doesn't need to guess. The man whose presence creates clarity instead of confusion. That's where this ends. There's a reason some men never have to ask if a woman is interested. They don't decode signals. They create conditions. And this is where everything you've learned either becomes wisdom or turns into anxiety. Because signal awareness without self-awareness turns into obsession. You start scanning every interaction, measuring every glance, doubting every moment. That's not power. That's fear wearing the mask of intelligence. The real shift happens when you understand this. Attraction signals are feedback, not permission slips. They are responses to who you are being, not clues you must chase. A man who generates attraction consistently doesn't sit in uncertainty because his life already speaks loudly. Purpose stabilizes perception. When a man has direction, when his life is full, when his sense of self doesn't hinge on being chosen, attraction shows up clearly because he isn't projecting need into empty spaces. Need distorts perception. Confidence clarifies it. This is why two men can receive the same behavior from a woman and interpret it completely differently. One hopes. The other observes. Hope fills gaps with fantasy. Observation fills them with data. The man who hopes needs signs to mean something. The man who observes lets patterns reveal the truth. And here's the paradox most men miss. When you stop chasing attraction, it becomes easier to recognize. Because you're no longer emotionally invested in forcing an outcome. You don't need certainty immediately. You allow it to unfold. This patience is magnetic. It signals abundance without words. Now let's be honest about something uncomfortable. Some men study attraction signals so they can manipulate. To extract attention. To exploit vulnerability. That always backfires. Because manipulation requires calculation, and calculation leaks. Women feel it in tone, in timing, in pressure. True attraction grows where there is safety, not strategy. Reading signals correctly allows you to do one powerful thing. Respond with integrity. When interest is mutual, you step forward naturally. You don't hesitate endlessly. You don't rush recklessly. When interest isn't there, you withdraw cleanly. No resentment. No bitterness. No performance. This alone separates mature men from boys. Respect is attractive because it signals self-worth. A man who can walk away calmly from disinterest is a man who doesn't beg life for approval. And here's the final truth beneath everything we've discussed. The strongest attraction signal a woman can send is ease. Ease in your presence. Comfort in silence. Freedom to be herself without self-monitoring. All the hair touches, eye contact, questions, proximity, they point toward one thing. She feels safe enough to lean in. Your job isn't to hunt signs. It's to create an environment where leaning in makes sense. That comes from grounding. From emotional regulation. From not needing the moment to turn into something else. When you're fully present, attraction either appears or it doesn't. Both outcomes are information. And information gives you power. Now you know how to see clearly. Not just what women do, but why they do it. You no longer have to miss real interest. And you no longer have to invent it. You stand in reality. And that's where real connection begins.